Hello, everybody. Welcome to Microdosing with the Metals. This is Makina.
Hi, and I am Wolfie. We are going to be your guest hosts for the day, and we're so excited to drop in with you.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here. Wolfie and I are some of the core team members here at Mamados, and Mark and Michelle are doing some other things today, so we're so happy to be hopping on here. We're just going to be having a conversation today about psychedelics and about microdosing and talking about Mamados, and it'll be more of just a free flow conversation. So I would love to start off the conversation with um, why psychedelics and microdosing are so important during this time for mental health, for the planet, for people.
Mm,
So if you want to go first.
yeah, I'd love to chime in on that. Personally, I feel like psychedelics have played such a powerful and impactful role in my life because, well, we go through life with all of this social conditioning and all of this not only social but like familial ancestral conditioning and life just be doing its thing, and it's like so easy to get locked into one perspective, and sometimes that perspective just isn't the most conducive um, for being like functioning at your highest capacity. And psychedelics, mushrooms in particular, have this way of just like just connecting you right back to source, to your higher self, to the earth, to like all of the things that really really matter in this human experience in such a potent way. And yeah, I've like likened it to perspective goggles, like perspective goggles that we wear, like they can just become so cloudy throughout life. And mushrooms and LSD and all kinds of like, all the psychedelics, they just just like clear them off and gives you all these other perspectives. And like that's just my personal take on it, but I've always felt like everything in life is as above so below. And like everybody always says, like if you want to make a change, you start with yourself. And these changes just sort of like ripple outwards and raise the frequency of the planet. And yeah, I think that everybody can agree that we're living in such a crazy time right now where that frequency shift is necessary. And I feel like now more than ever is just a perfect time for people to be opening up their eyes and opening up their hearts, and yeah, just kind of moving in a different way than we have ever since the um, industrial age, or whenever this big shift started. So yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree. It's amazing how these like beautiful ancient medicines are now coming full circle and making their way into modern culture and Western culture. Um, yeah, I totally agree that it's so important for our own mental health to be able to break out of these old patterns, habitual ways of thinking that are destructive and harmful to ourselves and also to our outer world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I I think that's beautiful.
Aw. Yeah, yeah, and it's like it's just so fascinating how mushrooms and ayahuasca, like the foundational plant medicines in particular, seem to like hold this imprint of so much of the energy that's been like here in this world and possibly others throughout like all of creation, honestly. So I love how you like said it, like ancient medicines, because they really are ancient, and these days I feel like there can be a lot of judgment when people talk about psychedelics because of the propaganda in the 1960s and all of these things. And so people are like, ooh, drugs bad, but it's actually like, no. I was watching this Terrence McKenna lecture, and he was like, if you're ever thinking about working with a substance and you want to know if it's like something that you should or shouldn't do, then you want to look at the history of the medicine, and if tribes have been sitting with it for hundreds of thousands of years, and these are his words, he said that's your FDA approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean the original holders of these medicine have so much wisdom, and I personally am so excited to continue to learn more, like going down to Costa Rica and Brazil to work with the Shananawa tribe. And yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah, for me, psychedelics have totally changed my life and helped me break out of those old habits and patterns and helped me change my perspective about myself and my place in this earth and what it means to be connected to all things. I remember my first DMT experience, I think I was maybe 18, and it was so beautiful because it was the first time that I actually realized that I was connected to all things, and I was connected to the earth, and that I was just an individual expression of the earth. And it was so life-changing for me, and I feel like that was one of the first points in my life where things really started to change for me, and I started to awaken and realize that the world isn't as scary and bad as it seems out to be. Um, so that was a beautiful experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, there's so much there. Like, first of all, that deep interconnectedness of all things. Like, it's one thing to hear or to read, we're all connected. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But like to actually feel that crazy interconnectedness coursing through all things and like bringing it back to the mushrooms, they have that mycelial network that scientists found out about a couple years back that's like literally connected. It's connecting all of the trees, it's connecting all the plants. It's like an underground network that literally looks just like our neurons. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I saw this maybe on Gaia, but they like took a picture of empty space, and that empty space isn't so empty. There's like a network of energy that looks just like that mycelial thing. So it's literally just everything is so deeply interconnected. And like I think that society and like just the way that we're brought up, at least here in the States, and I'm sure in many other places in the world, that just like can feel so much like I gotta do this all by myself, and I just, and it's so much but like to really, really get to zoom out with the help of these plant medicines, or whatever it may be, and to like see that we're all like, I don't want to say cogs in a machine because that sounds so like this isn't a machine, but we are all different working pieces of something really, really like this grand orchestration of like who even knows. you know and that's my other favorite part about mushrooms and ayahuasca, and yeah, just all the plant medicines here. But how like they really, when you're in that zoomed out perspective, you can really, really tune into how precious and mysterious this whole entire thing is. And it just makes all the like little problems and whatever neurotic things that we've been like stuck in thought loops about for, however long, just makes them seem so small and gives you such a different perspective on all of these things.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it really helps to bring that like childlike magic and imagination aspect of living and being present in the moment and just being truly at wonder with like seeing the clouds passing by or like feeling the sun on your skin and just feeling like connected to everything and everyone. Because yeah, it's so true. And we're so focused on all these small things or the material things in life. It's like we forget about what's really important and why we're really here. We're here. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes I find myself being stuck in the mundane, of, oh, I have to pay this bill, I have to do this small thing, blah, 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 getting stuck in all my little problems. And I have to take a step back and realize we are these beautiful, amazing living creatures living on this huge rock spinning in the middle of space. Like,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. Life is such a beautiful miracle. And I feel like with these medicines, it helps us bring us back into that present moment and see the magic and the beauty in every
Yeah.
single moment.
Oh, yeah, it really, really does. And we're just getting note here that Heaven Leah Destiny Costa is leaving a comment, and we just wanted to shout you out. Hi, Heaven.
Aw, yay, so much love.
Yeah,
Aw.
lots of love to you. Really beautiful name.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us. Yeah, I'm sure that if you're tuning into this, it's for a reason, because one of the other things that became really, really has become increasingly I've become increasingly aware of is how honestly the universe is really just working through us. Like there's something so powerful here at play, and the more that we can get out of its way, the more that it works through us. But I, like I said earlier, I truly feel like there is some sort of like aspect of this really, really beautiful, precise, grand orchestration. And yeah, just by like getting out of our own way and opening up our hearts, we tune into these different frequencies and they lead us to different places and different connections and different knowledge that ultimately I feel like the universe is making through us. So thanks for tuning in.
Oh, beautiful. I was like getting chills when you said that and like this divine orchestration that's happening. Um, it's I feel like we're living in the most exciting and important times on earth, you know. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people get stuck up in all of the fear and all of the war and violence that we're seeing that's being fed to us through the media, and people can get really like bogged down by that. And we have to realize that there's also this whole other reality playing out where human beings were ascending together and we're raising the frequency of the earth, and the earth is rebirthing something so beautiful. And I feel like it's this amazing flowering of human consciousness, and before a lotus flowers it has to bloom through the darkness and it has to go through the mud and that thickness and that energy. And I feel like that's where we are right now in the cycle of humanity, of where we're at the ending of the Kali Yuga and into the age of the Aquarius. And it's so amazing and it's so exciting, and it's so important to have these plant medicines during this time because it helps us get into that other perspective and see that there's a whole nother reality playing out and that the world isn't doomed and it's not horrible and there isn't just war and violence going on. There's this amazing, beautiful awakening of people happening saying that we're coming together and we're going to live in community and love and we're going to spread joy and we're going to take care of the earth. And and yeah, it's just so beautiful. It's like the most exciting time. The whole world is waking up and realizing that the powers that be and the systems that are at play are starting to crumble because it's not working, you know?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
people are rising up and saying that we're the ones that have the power, and we're going to stand up and say, hey, we're going to take care of each other and we're going to take care of the earth. And everybody deserves access to these beautiful medicines, and
Yeah.
we all deserve access to healing and to feel connected to the earth and to these ancient medicines and to indigenous wisdom. So yeah, I just feel so blessed to be here during this time. It's exciting.
You just snapped, first of all. Just say that. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So much, 1,000 times. Yes. Deep bow. Because, yeah, I mean, you said it like we're literally in the deep, deep midst of a collective shift, like a rebirth, like you said. And like when you look at birth, it's a beautiful, amazing, really magical process, but it's also messy and painful and scary at times, you know? And it's like this, like, yeah, it's this total transformation of creation, you know? And I feel like right now we're deep in that chrysalis of transformation. And yeah, so it can feel very like, you know, sometimes when we hear people talking about these things, it can feel like very hippy dippy woo woo. But again, that really is programming because when we open our hearts, you know, we become more available to the reality that's actually happening, you know. And another thing that like has become really, really present on one of my deeper, um, more recent journeys is on top of like, you know, us getting out of our way, um how to say, it's just that, yeah, this like this inner work that we do, it, on top of changing our frequency, on top of the frequency shifts, these things like ripple outwards into the universe, you know. And yeah, I feel like, just like you said, in this time, it's more important to open our hearts now more than ever. Yeah. And live in a community and not feel so alone. Because another statistic that I heard in a podcast that I was listening to is that, like, I think that either the number 2 or number 3 cause of death in the world right now is suicide. And that's just a heavy thing to sit with, you know? And do you think about the fact that, like, a lot, I don't know the percentage, but I know that it's a lot of people are prescribed SSRIs. and anti-anxiety medications and all of these things that I'm pretty sure that the studies are finding out aren't really working. And like you said, sitting with these medicines is our birthright. Like, imagine if you lived in a mansion, okay, and like it's just this big beautiful mansion with all of these rooms, but the government or the higher powers that be or whatever it is, whoever is like, yeah, you can actually only stay in this one room, you can't go in the other rooms. That's what it's like having the government tell you that you can't take psychedelics, because ultimately when you are taking psychedelics, you're on an exploration of your consciousness and consciousness in general, and we deserve to do that. And that exploration of consciousness provides deeper and different insights and different ways to relate to reality, that can take us out of these like deep depressions and sadness, because like it is a beautiful time and such a magical time. But another thing that the psychedelics do and this deeper work does is it like opens us up in our ability to hold more than just one thing. Like, yeah, it's this really, really beautiful time that we're living in, and we're aware of the suffering that's happening in the world, and we're saying like no more, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. We do deserve access to be able to, we do deserve the freedom to be able to access these different states of consciousness within
Hmm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Because they do provide a way for us to find true healing and permanent healing. Like my mom and I had discussed on the last live, these SSRIs and these different medications, they don't work long term, and that's not what they're intended to do. They're like band aids, and sometimes they're necessary in the right situations. But for long term healing, to actually be able to go in there, we have to explore those parts and those traumas and those things that we've stored deep down into our cellular memory, and we have to bring them to the light so that we can transmute them and heal them, because otherwise they stay stagnant in our bodies and
Yeah.
we can't heal them. For me personally, I've been on a long journey with my mental health, and I've been on so many different medications and in and out of different places and in all these different therapies, and nothing worked. Nothing ever worked. All these years of trying these SSRIs and going to therapy, it it did a little bit, and it helped me in the ways it could at the time. But only now in my life, after I've explored plant medicines and have really dealt with those traumas and looked at them and really brought them to light, now they're actually healed. And like
Yeah.
I feel so happy just to be
Aw.
alive. And like that's like such a blessing for me. And it's like you said, suicide is so prominent in the world today. And it's actually, so my grandmother died of suicide, my mom's mom, and today is actually her birthday. And we called
Oh.
we called her Purple Grandma, so I wear purple for her.
Aw.
um, and a big reason why my mom and I and our whole family are so dedicated to this is because of what happened to her, because we don't want anyone else to feel like they have to end their life like that. There's another way out, and
Yeah.
there's another way.
Yeah. Yeah, there really is. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel so grateful that I was able to transmute my own suicidal ideations. Like, I'm just so glad to be alive. I just can't even, like, this morning I woke up and I was just so excited. Like and I never used to wake up like that. I just wanted to sleep all day and I was just so sad. And now every day
Mhm.
is like such a blessing and it's so exciting, and a huge part of that is these amazing plant medicines. And
Yeah, yeah, this life is such like think of the most precious thing you can think of in the universe. That your life is and all life is so much more precious than that. Like this really, really precious thing. I don't even know, this alive, breathing, energetic, the fluctuation of just all of time and all of creation. This is the most precious thing, and it's like so easy to become so far removed from that those can just sound like words. But a big part of psychedelics is direct access. Like you can read about having a meal and what it tastes like, but it's not going to be the same thing as tasting it, and psychedelics do like allow you this gateway. They provide you that direct access to that, not even like to that gnosis. It's not even knowledge. It's something that's like deep and it's pure and it's true, and I also think that with the SSRIs, the reason that they're like pushing them so hard is not only just to numb people, but so people are just like, oh, something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. Like, but instead, if we actually look at the bigger picture, we begin to realize that society, especially here in America, isn't exactly conducive to being a real fucking person. Like, we're not meant to live like this. And I do think um, that's why there was like such this massive effort to like snuff out psychedelics, and yeah, and to numb people. But yeah, like you said, the awakening is happening, and it's a beautiful thing.
It is. I'm getting chills again, like during this whole conversation.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I feel so blessed to be alive during this time. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like these, just like you said, working with these medicines, it's these plants are allies. They're our friends, and they're here to remind us of this, like this core thing that's in our being of wanting to be stewards of this beautiful experience and stewards of the land and really the custodians of the land. And yeah, how important it is to just take care of not just the earth, definitely the earth, I can't even get into that right now. But yeah, like taking care of the earth, taking care of this precious life that we have, taking care of this, like, pocket of time that we get to exist in, taking care of those around us, and the only way we can do that is really by first taking care of ourselves, and opening up our eyes and being a little bit more gentle with ourselves and realizing that there are different perspectives available to us. They're working with these beautiful, beautiful plants and fungi.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
And what I love about these is that they empower us to realize that we have God, spirit, whatever, whoever wants to, whatever you want to call it, whatever way you want to call it. It helps us realize that that is not something that's outside of us or separate from us. That it's within us, and that we are individual expressions of the divine, and that we have all of the answers within, and we just have to be able to, like you were telling me the other day, get out of our own way to be able to see that.
Yeah.
And these are beautiful tools to be able to do that. Like I talked about also on the last live, they help us to break old patterns and old habits and old behaviors that have been routed in our neural pathways for so long because of these repeated patterns and repeated thoughts that we've had. They're like rivers in our brain that dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and then we just start to automatically go into those patterns and those habits and those thoughts. But what the plant medicines do is they help break up those, and they help create new neural pathways and new ways of thinking and new habits and new ways of being.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful how you describe that, and that what you just described, I forget if it's in Buddhist philosophy or Hindu philosophy, but those rivers that we get so used to taking, they call them samskaras. And it's literally like if you if you walk up a mountain or through a forest the same way every single day or whatever it is, then like eventually a path is going to get laid out, and then you just get so used to taking that path, you're not going to realize that maybe there's a shorter path or a more beautiful path to take. And so, yeah, it's just like that. We get so used to responding to life in one specific way. And I really, really love Joe Dispenza's work because it's
Yes.
so deep bow to Joe Dispenza because he's so incredible. And he literally talks about how, like, the way, like, we obviously think however many hundreds of thousands of thoughts a day, but we like think the same thoughts a day. And even if those thoughts are bad thoughts, whenever we think those thoughts, there's like an electrical charge that comes from those thoughts. And our body kind of gets, like, in a sense, addicted to that charge that comes from those thoughts. So, yeah, we can be like so easily trapped into, negative thought loops. And, yeah, it's just crazy. So a little bit of assistance in forming these new neural pathways is it's really everything, and it's so cool. Now, like, science is like doing these brain scans of people when they're on, like, in these deep medicine spaces, and they just see their brains lighting up in a whole entirely different way, and it's like, what other proof does anybody need? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you brought up Joe Dispenza. I just love him. He is my favorite. I'm always listening to his podcast. My dad
Same.
actually, oh, he's so great. My dad had actually showed him to me, and he kept, like, sending me videos and sending me things, and I was always like, no, it's fine. Like, I was doing other things, focus on other things, and finally the time came where I was ready to receive his teachings, and it just totally changed my life. And he talks often about the importance of brain and heart coherence and being in the frequency of your heart, because when we have brain and heart coherence, our magnetic field is huge in comparison to when we're living in low vibrations of shame and fear and disconnection.
Hmm.
And yeah, and it does send out a huge ripple through the universe. And
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, definitely, so we're just so, I think, both so grateful and so happy to be walking this path. And yeah, what is it called, in the ways that we can, being the voice of these different plant medicines and these different modalities, because yeah, we need those heart and brain coherent energy fields expanding and connecting, and yeah, raising the frequency of the planet, really. And it all starts from within.
yeah, yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I mean, our state of consciousness affects everything, the whole other side of the universe. There's no, like, distance that can't separate our state of consciousness and how that affects us. Dr. Joe talks too a lot about quantum entanglement, how one particle that's vibrating and connected to another particle on the whole other side of the universe are simultaneously sending information to each other. And so knowing that when we have these big breakthroughs and we're having super big, intense heart and brain coherence, that it affects particles on the whole other side of the universe. And so when people get caught up and say, well, I can't make a difference and my thoughts don't matter and this world is so big and I don't make a difference. You do make a difference. Every thought and everything makes a huge difference in the world, and we're all connected. And yeah, so beautiful. I love Dr. Joe. He's the
Yeah, he's just the best. Every time I'm tuning into a podcast, like, it doesn't matter that I've seen all his other podcasts. I'm like, yes.
right.
So
Yeah,
good.
he's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, well, this has been a beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could wrap things up unless there's anything else that you wanted to touch on.
Not that I can think of. Yeah, like you said, it was really powerful. It was really beautiful. I'm so happy that we got to drop into this space together and, just kind of vibe and flow, and yeah, see what the universe, wanted to let flow through us. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys. So happy to be here. It was so fun.
Yeah. And as always, Microdosing with the Metals and Medicine with the Metals is sponsored in part by Mama Dose. So,
Shoo.
yeah, tune in, or hop over to mamadose.com to see all of the beautiful plant modalities that are on offer. And yeah, take a little wonder dip into some of the things that we were talking about today. And thank you for doing all of the inner work and outer work that you guys are doing. And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if anyone too has needs to have a conversation or would like to book a free 15-minute consultation with us to just chat more in depth about starting your microdosing journey, we do have that available too on our website. So free, definitely take advantage of the of that opportunity. And we also have a lot of resources for integration support for anyone who needs extra integration during their microdosing journey. But yeah, yay. Thank you so much, Wolfie. This is so fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you, McKenna. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.